everybody. Hi, everybody. I am filling in for Larry. He has been, oh my goodness, working so very, very hard today. I know he would like to be with us. He is still at work, still hard at work right now. So there's no way if he can call in, he will. But I have a message to give you. Shoot, my phone just did something weird and I just clicked on the wrong thing. I'm gonna have to just give me a second. I have a message to share with you guys. This is pretty incredible. Let's start with today is, let's see, Wednesday, July 24th. I have a message to share with you on the president's reaction to the Mueller hearings, or Mueller, or whatever, however you pronounce his name. So just give me a second and I will, if my phone will cooperate here, it's freezing up on me. He is quite pleased with how the hearings have gone. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen. That the Mueller spoke or testified in front of the House Judiciary Committee with Jerry Nadler as chair this morning. And then he's been with Adam Schiff as chair of the House Intelligence Committee this afternoon. President Trump does believe this is going to be the start of the impeachment that so many people are trying to tell the president that they can't do, that they won't do. President Trump has some advisors that really are not astute in their understanding of the Democrat mind. They are not astute in how the establishment is fighting against President Trump. They may be part of the establishment themselves, being part of disinformation. Our president thinks that Larry's a better counterpuncher. He wants to know. Larry knew what was going to happen today. And so, the higher powers in our government are wondering how he knew. Well, folks, he's told you so many, many, many times. He has watched government processes for decades. For decades. He was alive when JFK was shot. He was alive when the towers went down. He was alive when he fought in the Vietnam War. He fought in Cambodia to help stop Pol Pot. He has helped with training soldiers in Colombia and Nicaragua, with working with the Contras against the communist Sandinistas. I mean, this man knows what happens when socialism overtakes a country. This man knows how the Democrats work. He was the one that used to do the orientation for both the Democrats and the Republicans when they first came into office. And he's been participating in government since Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas. You can read about that in 28 Years to Nowhere, which you can buy at nicholslive.com under the merchandise page. Larry's opinion is that the Republicans have held their own. I wanted to talk about, I'm nobody. I don't have any expertise other than when there have been important things happening, I make phone calls. And I realized for myself, even before Larry told us, but this is what I have done, is made phone calls. And Larry has told us that the phone calls are actually more effective. An email can be deleted. A letter can be thrown in the circular file, i.e. the trash can. But if you call, they will listen to your call. Even if they hang up on you, they still have to tally your call. So phone calls are extremely important for getting your opinion to the legislators. I thought it was interesting that Juan Williams was saying that Mueller was looking and acting old. And I wondered how much of that was the fact that he, may be too old for doing what he's doing. The way he would and slur before he would answer. I mean, I saw my dad doing that in his late 80s, and his brain processing was slowing down. One of the questions I had was that Mueller said, he was the special counsel, he led the team. And I'm wondering, he was asked, did he do a lot of the interviews himself? And he said no. His team did the work. Where was he and what was he doing? I saw somebody in one of the chats inferring that he was on vacation and just collecting the millions of dollars. Did he write the report? He did not answer. Larry suggested to me yesterday that they worked hard in their practicing over the weekend with the Democrats on filibustering, how to stall and run out the clock, that he would be allowed to answer more with the Democrats' questions than the Republicans. It wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, but it certainly did happen. He asked the Republicans particularly, more than the Democrats, to repeat their question. Very often they would ask a question and he would say that he would not answer the question. He said he would stand by the report. And of course, I'm wondering now, how much of the report did he actually write? Because they would ask him about something that is in the report, and he'd act like he didn't know what they were talking about until they said, well, it's actually on page so-and-so. Give him time to turn to the page and look it up. And then his answer was, I stand by the report. He wouldn't even yes or no in answer to their question. He just stood by the report. I was surprised at how many times the Democrats framed their question and all he had to do was give a yes or no answer to agree with them that I mean, isn't that considered leading the witness? I don't know. I'm wondering. It was quite a show. The other thing that he very often did was, I don't have purview over that, or that's not our area, or there's an ongoing investigation, so I'm not going to discuss that at all. So the whole thing that led up to this special counsel, that led up to the FISA, the spying on the Trump campaign, all of that was based on the Steele dossier. That was the foundation of everything. And this Misfit person that apparently was working with Steele and may have helped to write the dossier that was used to come after Carter Page and to spy on President Trump's campaign. He wouldn't discuss any of that whatsoever. He said that's for some other agency to deal with, and I don't have purview in that area, or if I'm just not going there. I'm not going to answer any questions having to do with that whatsoever. And I'm sorry, that is not a phone call we need to answer. Hang on a second. I just got an important text I've got to check out. Just give me 1 sec. Oh, my word. I have people coming to my house to see the house in 15 minutes, and my house is not ready for a showing. Folks, we're going to keep this real short. I'm going to give you another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to have to stop. He didn't go into anything with Fusion GPS. Glenn Simpson, the head of Fusion GPS, I had another. Oh, they didn't. Nobody went into asking if he did not ask people when he was adding people to his team. He said he did not ask if they were Democrat or Republican. Not everybody on his team was a Democrat. Most or many of the people had donated to Hillary, and he didn't go into that at all. Now, come on. He had headed the FBI for how many years? 8, 10, 13? It was a long time. He did his 8 years, and he was, given an extension for a couple more years. He said he didn't need to know. Most of them had donated to Hillary's campaign. It should be obvious where they stood. I mean, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, we're going to get him. There's no way he's going to win in their text messages about President Trump, or candidate Trump at the time. The Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee hearing, nearly every one of them ended their questioning with "no one is above the law." Well, we agree that no one should be above the law. That is true. But my goodness, I don't understand when there is proof of connections and collusions between the Hillary campaign and Russia and Steele and Misfoot and on and on and on between the Democratic Party. They're saying that the Russians were feeding Julian Assange information. Julian Assange has said, no, the Russians did not feed us this information for WikiLeaks. Our information came directly from the Democratic Party. And nobody addressed that today at all. I didn't hear it. In the House Judiciary Committee hearing, the Democrats totally harped on obstruction of justice. And Mueller said that you can't indict a sitting president, and so he just backed away from doing anything. Now, I do appreciate that the Republicans really made a point that when the next to last word talked about exonerating the president, that was really blown out of the water. That was a non-issue, and that word should not have even been entered in because it's not a legal term. And Mueller was asked about the letter that he had written to Barr, claiming that Barr had misrepresented in his description of the report, and that was leaked out to the public. And Mueller didn't want to talk about it. His letter, they had a copy of it. They were presenting it as evidence, and he did not want to talk about it. So here's my take. Now, given I'm nobody, I don't have Larry's expertise. I've been listening to Larry every single day for 3 years plus. But that doesn't give me any sense of expertise, okay? I'm just Harriet homeowner, a mom, a nobody, just an ordinary American citizen who cares about this country. And I didn't like what I heard happening. It seemed to me, and I agree with Larry in intimating this was the whole point of this, but it just seemed to me this was nothing but a setup to give them the ammunition they need to now impeach our president. You will hear it coming back: impeach, impeach, impeach. He obstructed justice. That's illegal. We can't indict a sitting president, and they're legally. But now the Democrats are going to say, but we in Congress can impeach him. We can't indict him, but we can impeach him, and the Senate can throw him out. And they are hoping that they will do enough damage that he will not win in 2020. If he does not win in 2020, then they're going to do whatever they're going to do. They're hoping to straddle the election with the impeachment, so that the House will do their dirty work and impeach before the election, and the Senate will throw him out after. If he doesn't win, I don't know what good that does, but if he does win, they're hoping that the Senate will still cooperate with them. So we've got some huge issues, and I don't know if any of you could tell that our Republicans asking questions, were trying to bring up things that Larry has talked to us about over the last few years. And, I was going, I know about that. I've heard Larry talk about that. So I hope you guys who watched the hearings could see that. I am looking over the text here. Mueller talking out of both sides of his mouth. Yes, a waste of money. How much was siphoned off? Agree. I did get a question during the hearings. Can't somebody have Mueller arrested for refusing to answer? Because Trey Gowdy could have done that. Larry had told us Trey Gowdy could have had Hillary or somebody arrest Rosenstein, I think it was, arrested for refusing to answer questions to the committee. And Mueller, there were several that he just wasn't going to go there. Whether he could have been arrested, I don't know. That's a question for Larry. But it's obvious that with a Democratic chairman, Trey Gowdy could have had an arrest done when he was head of a committee because he was a Republican. No Democrat is going to have somebody who they think is working on their side. They're not going to do anything to somebody like that. So let's see. A soap opera. Yes, it was definitely that. Mueller is deep state. Yes, he's the one that took the uranium sample to Russia. I mean, for crying out loud, uranium 1 was Hillary Clinton helping the Russians when she was head of the State Department and giving the Russians 1/5 of all our uranium up front over a 10-year period. They get the first 2 years worth, which leaves us with no uranium for upgrading our systems. So, none of that was done. Can Trump release the FISA now? I really don't know. It's a question for Larry, and he will be back as soon as he can. The real reason for the investigation, there was somebody at the end of the House, there was a Republican at the very end of the House Judiciary Committee hearing who asked for a parliamentary question. And he did ask, what was the reason for this hearing? Wasn't it to give you grounds for impeachment? And Nadler refused to answer and refused to let him ask a second parliamentary question, and went on to the last Democrat questioner. Was this all about digging for dirt on the president to blackmail him? This was all about Mueller giving them the reason to impeach, which the House Judiciary Committee got when they were discussing the fact that they claim Trump obstructed justice, because Trump had commented, he had the right to fire Mueller as special counsel. He had the right to do that. But because he asked and said this needs to be stopped, they are claiming he obstructed justice. So they're playing with words. They are just pushing for any excuse they can get to harm our president. And Larry has told us over and over and over, they will pull out every trick they can find between now and the election in November 2020. That is why it is so important that we help our president by talking to people about what this is all about. I don't know how many of you saw, probably not many of you. I was asking for prayer about these hearings today and asked people to really be in prayer that God would overrule these tricks being done. All right, folks, I've got people coming to my door. I've got to go make the bed, and they are here. I've got to run. So, folks, thank you for being here. Please help Larry. He has worked so hard today. He is so absolutely exhausted. He needs some help with some medication so that he can sleep and to get some pain relief. Please do donate. His PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com. nicholslive@aol.com. The website nicholslive.com has a link and other information. And I'm sorry, I've got people at the door. I've got to go. Thank you guys for being here. Bye.